Okay, so I went away to a refuge for 4 months to get away from someone that I love, who couldn't treat me right, and I returned, and he already found that I was home, and waited outside 3 hours, and which I've already told you about. It's been 8 weeks. It's been 8 weeks since I've been back, and on the first day, he waited outside, and I've updated about this, but I went outside and I spoke to him, and I was strong because I've been to a refuge and I'm not needy anymore, and I'm strong, but I still loved him and still missed him, just not his bad behaviour and his special needs, where he just, if things aren't his way, or if things weren't going his way, he'd have a meltdown. Anyway, I kind of, I just need to tell you things that have happened. So anyway, I gave him a chance, and he said to me that he did 4 months of counselling and therapy, and that he knew what controlling behaviour was, and that he was going to prove to me that he wasn't controlling, that he was going to fix the car for me as an apology for previous bad behaviour, and that he'd been working on it while I was gone. And anyway, I held him up to his promises, all the promises that he made. Every time I saw him, I held him up to his promises. But I've been really, really strict and really, really firm, because I'm obviously, look at me today. I'm sad and I'm crying, not because of what he's done, but because I don't even know how to explain it. But so I was meant to see him today, and but my daughter came and stayed, and I have been seeing him once a week, and I've been gauging his behaviour, and I like comforting him, and I like him comforting me, but he has been kind of pushing the boundaries, and I've been having to reinforce my boundaries and reinforce, my standards, and I've been nitpicking. If he's done something that I haven't liked, I've pulled him up on it. If he said something racist, I've pulled him up on it. If he's sounded controlling about anything, I've pulled him up on it. If he's touched my body when I've told him not to, I've pulled him up on it. If he's been whining for intimacy, I pulled him up on it. Basically, I've been pretty tough. And today, I saw him a couple of hours yesterday, and I pulled him up on quite a few things. And I just, it was every time I'm in his company, even though I want to see him and I want to spend time with him, he always kind of finds a way of messing up and saying and doing something that I just don't approve of. And so I think I said about last week that he smashed his. I don't think I actually said this actually, but he'd touched my boob and I got upset, and I pulled him up on it, and he went into a meltdown and he smashed his phone to smithereens and threatened to chuck himself, open the door while I was driving at 70 miles an hour, and that he was going to throw himself out and kill himself. Anyway, but this week, I said to him I was scared to be in his company in case, something happened, and went out. Didn't spend much. Spent about 5 hours with him. But today, I pulled him up about what he was like yesterday, and anyway, basically, we had an argument, or he twisted things that I was saying, and I had been really kind of blunt with what I was saying. Anyway, I thought to myself he's going to have a meltdown, so I drove round to see him, and he was already in one of those moods, and I immediately said, I'm sorry, I was like trying to get through to him. I'm sorry that I was so blunt. But he went into one saying that my children were more important. I wasn't making time to see him. That basically I had been very blunt with him. I said that I wasn't needy, and he said, "Did I miss him?" And I said, "Well, I missed him, but not his behaviour." Basically, everything he took as an insult. But the thing is, it's the truth. And it's so hard because I do love him to pieces, and I just hope that he could just keep his promises. So, and it seems very hard for him, and I wanted to know that I was of worth, and I'd set standards for myself. And when I first met him, I told him what I wanted in a boyfriend, and he said he could be those things. And it just seems like he just says the words and makes promises, but he has been saying lots of loving things, but he's been holding himself back because I said, like violent wise, because obviously I said I'd vanish out of his life and go to a refuge, or cut him off if he was anything but perfect. So what happened today? I went round there to calm him down, to make sure he's alright, and he's verbally abusive, and he shoved me, and he made threats. He said that he was going to keep my car that he was fixing up. He told me that I didn't deserve it because of my bad behaviour, according to him. Which is uncanny, isn't it? Because he's meant to be impressing me, and me asking him to be behaved is me being badly behaved. And then he said I was out, and basically he started to be rude about my children, and I said, and I was meant to see him today, and obviously my daughter came down, so he didn't see me. But I went to visit him. We was going to go out for the day, but I went to visit him briefly. But he was smoking, and he said that he was going to give up smoking to be with. That's one of the conditions of being with me, and he said he wanted to be with me, and he said he'd waited 4 months for me to come back from this refuge. And anyway, he made threats, and I was scared, so I drove off. He was very threatening, and anyway, I drove back again to see if I can just calm the situation down again and just face it. I thought I'd left my phone behind, but I hadn't. But I went and faced him again, like to just try to make him calm, and he was just verbally abusive, and also made threats to me, and he got into a state of where he was punching my car, where he dented my car with his fists by hitting so hard on my car, like on the bonnet, on the boot of the car. And I got some bruising where he grabbed my arms and pushed me. I'm just, and he was kicking in the doors of my car and punching the roof of my car. And even though I just wanted us to be okay, he started to say, "Well, if you love me, stay tonight." And I said, "But I can't because my daughter's down." And he said, "There you go." And then he started to be verbal diarrhea again and abusive. And then he just basically was yelling abuse at me, and I had to go. And I was worried about him, and I don't like to see him in a meltdown, but he was shouting out that he had counselling and that he wasn't a controlling person, and he was saying how bad I was and that I was disgraceful and disgusting and that I was ugly and all this stuff. And he was just saying loads and loads and loads of verbal diarrhea. And I said I knew that he didn't mean it, but he didn't stop. But when he started punching my car non-stop, and then he said he was going to take my wheels off, that he'd given me them and that I didn't deserve them, and that he was going to take them back. And that he was going to keep my car that he was fixing up. He was pretty scary, and he just said lots of stuff, and I didn't know what to do, and I drove back to my flat, and I thought, is he going to come round and take my wheels off my car, is he going to come and cause trouble? And so I phoned the police, but I phoned 999, and I said I didn't know which services. I said I needed mental health help, and they kept me on the phone, and I went round to the garage to see if he was there, and I couldn't see him, and I went round to his mum's partner's house, and I couldn't see them there either. But the police stayed on the phone, and I said I didn't know if he needed an ambulance or hospital treatment. Anyway, I'm really kind of sad because I do love this person. And anyway, the police came to interview me and to ask me what he looked like so they could go find him to make sure he's safe and everything. But they wanted to hear what had gone on, and then they started to say that he was a stalker and that I'd been at a refuge, and that they didn't want me to end up in a body bag. They said that his behaviour, that he was being controlling, and they looked at my phone and they said he was still sending me messages and texting me and phoning me like a stalker, and that obviously punching my car and then dissing my children. Basically, he's just broken every promise that he made, and he promised so much, and the thing is, I just feel like he needs mental health help. So the police said that they're gonna go arrest him, and I said I didn't want him to be arrested. But they said we need to arrest him, and we need to get him mental health help, and I don't want any trouble. I just want us to be living with each other, and I thought he could do it. And I haven't seen him, and he has wanted my company, and I just felt like he had been trying, and in his mind, working on my car was him trying, but I needed him to be well behaved and do what I asked. He is already fanatic about cars, so that's him doing what he always loves to do. But me asking for my boundaries to be respected is what I wanted. Anyway, the police talked to me for a couple of hours, and they saw me back to my flat, and they said they're going to contact me tomorrow, and they give me a bundle of cards, women's worth services and such like. And I just wanted to have a nice time and just hold him and comfort him, but he's got himself so